Hello and welcome. We are talking AI today after that sort of AI-ish intro that sounded kind of like a Tangerine Dream song from 1983. But I am Kyle O'Brien, managing editor, Indie Agency News. Thank you for joining us. Yes, we are talking AI today because, Slop. It was named a 2025 word of the year. That's right, it was. And that tells you everything you need to know about where we are with AI and creativity right now. With 86% of ad buyers that are using AI for creative production, 70% of marketers have already had an AI incident, and only 13% of consumers trust ads made entirely by AI. So what's the middle ground? It's pretty much been mediocrity, but it doesn't have to be. And BarkleyOKRP is proving that with, especially with their latest work. It's an entire fake radio station with 40 AI-generated songs for the beverage slice. Today, we're going to talk to Brad Jones, Chief Creative Officer of BarkleyOKRP, about what separates agencies using AI to cut corners from those using it to raise the creative bar. Brad Jones, CCO at BarkleyOKRP, today in Kansas City. Am I correct?
That's it. Yeah, Kyle, how are you, man? Good to see you again.
Great to see you. Thanks so much for talking to us about this. Obviously, we've heard tons about AI, and from the frightening to the hey, it's helping, and it obviously has been helping you guys. So, talk a little bit about the Fizz and how it came to be, and how you used AI to get that done.
For sure. Yeah, I will say before I get into it, this work was made by a team before I started a few short months ago.
Gotcha.
But I am big fan of the idea, and I can definitely dive deeper into it. So, Slice came to us and they asked us, like, how do we relaunch this soda brand from the 80s or 90s and bring it back and put it back on shelves and get a new generation who is obsessed with nostalgia for the 80s and 90s. And we asked ourselves, well, why not do something that wasn't possible back in the 80s and 90s? And the idea was born, like, let's create this radio station completely powered and generated using AI. It was called 106.3, the Fizz FM. And essentially every single facet of the idea was brought to life through AI using Google VO and many other tools within the Google ecosystem, everything from the songs themselves to the cover art to even the little blurbs that we hear back and forth from our kind of like talking heads that kind of stitch everything together. And I think, like, what I love about this idea is that it's using AI to create something that wasn't possible before. It really is using AI as an enabler to serve the creative, not necessarily be the creative. The idea didn't come from AI. The idea was to use AI in an innovative way to deliver on a message that this healthy soda brand from the 80s and 90s is back, and back for a new generation. And so that was kind of like an innovative way to go about doing that.
Right, certainly. And here's just a little thing. Of course, there's a boombox involved, which means that there's a cassette tape involved,
Yeah.
which means that somebody at some point had a pencil and had to rewind that thing. Me being one of those people from years back who owned a great Panasonic boombox, but there were all those times when the tape would catch, and for anybody younger than 50, that it was a problem. It was a problem. Big problem. But anyway, so let's talk about AI for creative. How do you think about the difference between using AI to do mediocre work faster versus using it to do like impossible work like this?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I don't think AI is necessarily like the problem. I think the problem is how people use it and people's different perception on it. Like I said, I think, like, AI should really be used to serve the creative, right? To serve the creative idea, and a creative idea that is landed off the back of a strategy and a truthful insight. And I think what we're seeing a lot of when we're talking about AI slop, generated out the back of Sora 2 and, apps like that, is it's idealess. All it is content. It's lacking the idea. So I think the middle ground, I think, definitely will shift tremendously over the coming probably couple of years, if maybe less than that. But I think the space for human powered creativity born from real human insights is here to stay.
Right. I mean, because we're all using it to an extent. Heck, I've been using Otter AI for transcriptions for years, and so I mean it has the power to do good things, but in the wrong hands, or in hands that may not know what to do with it, it's just not doing well, because research shows that 70% of marketers have already experienced AI incidents, like the hallucinations, the bias, the off-brand content. So for CMOs trying to figure out which agencies, how to figure out how to use it, what questions should they be asking that would separate like the genuine innovators from just that cookie cutter sort of, oh, we're just using it because we have it?
I mean, I think like asking questions around like, how do you use it? Is it something that you're claiming to use end to end? And if so, that's probably a red flag. I think good creatives and good creative agencies and good strategists, they're using it, but to a certain degree, right? You're using it to get smarter on a category, get smart on a different market or a specific audience, right? You're using it to take like the busy work out so you can focus on critical thinking. I think if you think about what AI really is, a large learning model, it's an echo chamber of information that is connecting the dots to give you an answer based on your question, and I think that's only ever going to be as original or as innovative as what it's been fed. It doesn't have access to the outside world like we do as creatives and strategists,
Right. Of course. I mean, so how does an agency like yours, or any agency, especially the indies, how do they kind of use it as an offering? Like, do you restructure things? Do you have to do pricing differently? How do you pitch when you're including AI in the mix, or is it just another tool in the box?
It's a good question. I think we're using it in a number of different ways. We're using it as a way to speed up our integration. Obviously, we work very closely with our friends in media, and they use it in lots of different ways. But we're currently building a tool that will like connect each one of our departments, using almost like this AI concierge that'll allow us to go back and see a media plan for, let's say, Red Lobster, or I can ask it, I want to see the audience for Macy's. It'll allow us to get to the information, the things that we're looking for, much faster. And I think like having a tool like that, I think, is really helpful for the inner working. And then I think when it comes to the actual output of the work, I think I want to see it used in ideas that weren't possible before it, like the slice idea. I think if it's just about churning out high volumes of content, I think really anybody can do that. And I think that's what AI has really done, is I think has exposed the good creatives and the good creative agencies from the bad ones, because the good ones are using it in very thoughtful ways, and the bad ones are using it for everything, right? And the bad ones, it's the same as anybody with a laptop and access to the internet. Anybody can create these days, and without the right strategic rigor, insight, and like actual creativity, the center of gravity, the idea, it's just like more, it's just content. It's not real marketing.
Right. I mean, the big idea is still the big idea, and and executing it can be done in many different ways. But those who use it as a tool for good, I think, are doing the right thing. And you mentioned you did mention Macy's, didn't you guys just land something?
We just Launched some work last night at the Grammys,
Excellent.
our first campaign. We've been working on that for about 6 months now. And yeah, launched last night at the Grammys, saw it up on the big screen. Looked amazing. So really proud of the team that worked on that.
Yeah, I saw it as well. It looked great. So Barkley OKRP calls itself the big indie where scale meets soul. So when AI can give any agency scale, what does the soul actually look like when you try to operationalize it?
Yeah, I think the soul is, who you are as an agency and the people that lead it, right? A big thing that we've been talking about over the last few months is thinking about where we're based, right? We're based in the middle of the country, in Kansas City and Chicago are our two biggest offices. And these are two big, like flyover cities, right? Where most of the action is happening on the coast in LA and New York.
Right.
When actually, I think a lot of really good is happening right here in the middle. And we started using this terminology like the magic in the middle, right? And the magic in the middle is that, speaking about it from a geographical sense, but then also for, the middle in between two choices that marketers really have today, right? They have big options like the Omnicoms of the world, and then smaller boutiques. And the divide between those two is becoming bigger and bigger. The smaller are getting smaller and more niche and more boutique, and the bigger are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so the middle being kind of like that third option, right? It's like a different way to go that's bringing together media, creative, and strategy all together in one place. And that's also like the magic as well. And I think that's something that only human creativity and smarts can really achieve. And that's the Midwest nice. It's the Midwest swagger. It's everything that we've built this agency on over the last few decades.
Right. It's the hardworking Midwest, of course.
Yeah,
We love it.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah, and nothing can really replace hard work, but obviously AI is bringing some tools that haven't been there before. And so, again, with scale and again, with AI being able to be creative for everyone, what should indies be watching for so they don't kind of go under because
Yeah.
they're not utilizing it properly, or maybe because they're not able to keep up? What would you tell them?
I mean, I would say, firstly, I am no big AI advocate or anything like that, but I am a creative leader that needs to be aware of, where the industry is headed and where the technology is headed. And I think I'd be crazy not to be eyes wide open and tinkering with it and playing with it and using it to my advantage, where it makes sense. So I think you need to embrace it. I think if you don't, you get left behind. I think there is definitely a place for it. Even when I start thinking about the funnel and the spectrum of work that we do. Of course, when you're going to get into bigger anthemic human emotion film work at the top end of the funnel, that's going to be like traditional craft, right? And then as you get further down to the bottom of the funnel, I think there is going to be an opportunity for more AI driven content that is based on optimization and learnings, plugging into our performance marketing media engine, because I think that's just the way that things are going, and that works, right? That serves a purpose on the lower end of the funnel. But at the top end of the funnel, I think there's always going to be space and room for human-led craft. And look, sometimes there are situations where, work up the top end of the funnel can be produced through AI. I've been in situations where we parallel path a specific script or a specific spot through pre-production, and then made the decision at the very last stage, hey, we're going to go the traditional route, or hey, we should go the AI route. I think it comes down to each idea and each script really being its own candidate, and it needs to be judged. I don't think there's like a blanket answer for it, you know? So my advice for indies is eyes wide open, you know, embrace it, play with it, tinker with it, see what works for you. And then you ultimately need to make your own judgment, you know. Everybody's different, but I think if we don't embrace it, I think we'll get left behind, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. It's something that has to be used, but it's something that has to be used smartly, with precision, and intent, rather than just, hey, let's just shove this into the system and see what happens.
It doesn't, yeah, it's never going to replace our creativity. It enables our creativity, right? And it should enable our creativity, like ways that we've never imagined before. It should allow us to make creative ideas that we would never have been able to make 2-3 years ago. And I think I think the slice idea is a great example of that, you know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And
that's something you couldn't have done before. Yeah.
Exactly. And I want to see more ideas like that. We have a couple of other ideas for some other clients right now that are about to go into production that do a similar thing, like to make a point about something that's not real yet. You know, there's a non-for-profit client that we're working on, trying to get a group of individuals to vote yes on something. And you got to show them the possibility of how awesome that thing could be. And then say, all you need to do is vote yes on this. And if you don't, then, you know, that idea won't ever be a thing, you know?
Right. Interesting. Wow. That's it. There are just so many possibilities. Let's have some quick hits right now. This is one sentence answers. So what is the biggest lie agencies are telling CMOs about AI currently?
I think marketers and procurement are asking agencies about AI, and I think their motivations are coming from the wrong place. I think they're looking to cut costs. They're looking for efficiencies. And I think agencies are giving them what they want to hear, but it's not really the truth, I don't think.
Yeah. All right. What's one thing every CMO should demand to see that would reveal who's using AI well versus cutting corners?
AI policy. You know, every agency should have an AI policy. We have it on one slide. Yep. We can provide that to any client at a drop of a hat, and it just has our collective point of view on it. So I think that's really important.
Cool. All right. Last one. What is everyone getting wrong about AI and creativity?
I think that it is the replacement for our industry. You know?
Yeah.
I think that's what, you know, for folks outside of our industry, you look at marketing, you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But actually it's not. You know, there's no replacement for, you know, real world perspective, landing on an insight that provides an unlock for a real idea. It's simply not possible with AI, or at least not yet, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I've been saying this for years and trying to beat the drum that the big idea is not dead.
No,
it just
it's not.
changes how it's ideated.
I think it's becoming more and more important as, you know, the media landscape becomes more fragmented, you know, the influx of AI. The thing that holds it all together is the most important thing. And I think that's just like, I think we kind of lost it for a little while, but I think people are starting to realize that again. It's like, that is just so important. Otherwise, you don't have the thing that makes it all make sense, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well, again, if people want to see this on the BarkleyOKRP site, there's a great case study on the Slice Fizz FM. I love it. I think you guys did a fantastic job. That's how do you use AI the right way? So and take that as a great lesson. And Brad Jones, thank you so much, CCO at BarkleyOKRP. Thank you so much for coming in, and everybody, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Kyle.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
All righty.